Hey guys, it's me today. I'm here to talk about the Rokesbys series by Quinn. This is a series of historical romances that are like companion novels. It follows the Rokesbys in like a generation before the Bridgerton series, which is why the series is also often called the Bridgerton prequel series. But I feel like that like markets the series as something that's very different from what it actually is. Like, yes, there are appearances by like child versions of the Bridgertons in the series, like towards the very end, and we have like siblings from Edmund as the leads in some of these books, but like mainly it's about the Rokesbys, which is like a different family. And because it's a series of companion novels, I won't like be able to like give you an overall synopsis for the series like I usually do. And there's just like different romances and each one has like a different setup, and I'll like give you individual plots as I get to like the individual reviews. But there is a ranking. In case you've also never seen one of my series discussions, usually I say this at the very beginning, but like this video is like entirely spoiler free, don't worry. But let's just get into the ranking of these books. I don't have any of them with me physically, so we'll just have to do with pictures popping up. So I'm going from my least favorite to my favorite. My least favorite in the series was to go with the Makebelieve Husband. Then on number 3 we have the Ottoman Budget. On number 2 Frisco Scandal, and on number 1 Because of Miss Bridgerton. So this is my personal ranking based on my personal enjoyment of these books. So let's just get into like my individual reviews for these books in the order of like in series order, so you'll know why I ranked them the way I did. And let's start that off with the first book, which is Because of Miss Bridgerton. This one follows Billy Bridgerton, who has always kind of like been expected to marry one of the Rokesby brothers because they grew up together and like they've been best friends their entire lives. So people just kind of expected that to happen, except like the one brother that they didn't expect her to like have any connection with is George, because those two just don't like each other. Like George is also like the eldest and like a couple of years older than Billy and like his other siblings, so like he's never really felt like he fit in. But then this book is somehow their romance, like stuff happens and there's really much more of a plot to this book besides the romance, so that's the only thing I can talk to you about. But I give this Firefight Star. I absolutely adored this book. It's the reason why I read this series so quickly, because I just read this book. It was so quick. I really loved the dynamic between George and Billy as well. It's kind of like a mix between like a hate to love romance and a friends to lovers romance, and it has like the best of both worlds. Like truly, it's a Hannah Montana story. It's the best of both worlds, because I typically always prefer like a friends to lovers over a like hate to love, but I feel like this, because they still kind of like grew up together but just like not as like tight friends, there was still like a lot of like similar beats in there with friends to lovers romance, but like it also is a hate to love romance because like they don't like each other at the beginning and they do end up, you know, falling in love with each other. And I really love the dynamic that created between these two, where they had like such a deep respect for each other, but there's still like a lot of like jabs towards each other and like great banter between them as well. I generally like laughed out loud a couple of times reading this book because I really loved their dynamic so much, and I just also really loved seeing them slowly fall for each other and like realize they're falling for each other. There isn't really a plot in this book, like I said, besides the romance, which I typically don't like. I need my romances to have like a story going on in the background to like keep me entertained, but I was so enthralled by like everything happening in this book, and I really love these characters so much. I loved our romance so much that I kind of like didn't really notice that was a plot until like I finished the book and I was like, wait, what was this actually about? And I just realized it was just a romance. So, you know, the fact that says a lot about how much I like this book. I feel like I became so obsessed with it like when I read it, and like became my entire personality for like a month, because as you know, if you've been around here, it inhale wet like this entire series, which I typically never do. Then next book in the series is The Girl with the Make-Believe Husband. This one follows Cecilia, whose brother got injured in the war, and she like received a letter that he got injured, so she decides to go to New York to check up on him, and like there's some other reasons there, but like that's the main one that's needed for like the explanations. And when she's in New York, she hears that there's this officer who's like badly injured, like so badly that he's unconscious, and she assumes that it's a brother, so like she goes to like check it out, but she finds that it's actually Edward Rokesby, who is her brother's like best friend in the army, and to be able to like help take care of him, she pretends to be his wife. And then at the very beginning of this book, she's been there for a couple of weeks, he's been unconscious for a couple of weeks, and at the beginning he wakes up and he has memory loss. He doesn't remember like the last couple of months, so like he doesn't recall marrying someone, and that like helps Cecilia kind of go with her plan to like still take care of him. But I give this 2 to 5 stars. I didn't like this one. As you can tell, it was like at the bottom of my ranking, and it's like a huge dip in of enjoyment between this and then the Ottoman Budget, which is like the next in the ranking, because I don't like this. First of all, I don't like the amnesia trope. I've never liked it in anything. I don't think I've ever read anything with amnesia trope that I liked, or like seen anything with that trope that I liked. Just a trope I don't typically connect to it, and it's something I didn't know going into this novel that would contain that. I just know that it was Cecilia pretending to be Edward's wife while he was injured. That's all I knew about this book. So that's why I also included the fact that there was amnesia in my synopsis, because I know that's a trope a lot of people don't like, so be aware of that going in. But the main reason why I didn't really like this book is that I didn't really connect with it. I didn't connect with the characters. I just didn't really become invested in them as I did with the other characters in the series. I don't know, something was missing there. I also just didn't really feel any chemistry between them, and I didn't buy into their romance because of that. I just felt like, you know, they got together because that's what the author wanted, not because like there's a genuine like connection feelings there, which I know sounds very ridiculous to say, because like that's just how books are, that couples get together because the author wants them to. But like I feel like typically I feel more of like a back and forth, like the feelings growing and like chemistry between characters, and I didn't really have that with this book, and therefore like I also just like didn't really like it. There is a bit of like a side plot in this one which is very minor, but that one also just like didn't really do much for me, and just like kind of left me with like a very meh feeling. But then like the third act conflict happens, and it was something that was very predictable to me. I saw that coming from like the second I knew that it was amnesia. I was like, oh, this is going to be the conflict, and that was the conflict, except that it was done in such like a frustrating way. Like it was done in such a terrible way that I didn't like, and just like left me very frustrated and like angry, and therefore like it came like down to a 2-star rather than a 3-star, which it was for me before. And then we move on to book 3, which is the Ottoman Budget, which is about Poppy Bridgerton, who is like a cousin of Billy in the first book, and she gets kidnapped by pirates and ends up on the ship of Captain Andrew Rokesby, and he finds out that Poppy's a Bridgerton and therefore takes like extra good care of her because he has like a connection with the Bridgerton family, even if like they don't know each other. Because like I said, she's like the cousin of Billy, and like Andrew grew up with like Billy being his best friend and stuff like that. I give this 4 to 5 stars. I really was so hyped for this book because Andrew like makes big appearances in the first book, and he, like I said, he and Billy are like best friends. So I was so hyped to read this book because I really loved him in the first book, so I wanted more of him, and I'm very satisfied with how this book like ended up going, because I really love his character in this one. He is like a captain on a pirate ship, or like a privateer ship. It's like officially not a pirate ship. There's a difference. I don't know it because I'm not that well versed in like pirate historicals, so I'm sorry. But like he's a captain, and I really liked seeing him kind of like take that position with like authority, and I really also liked how like he got along with like his like crewmates, which we don't get to see a whole lot of, but like we do get like little snippets of it. I thought seeing all of that was really interesting. I loved his dynamic with Poppy as well. I really liked Poppy as a character as well. The only thing that I didn't like about Poppy is that sometimes it felt like she didn't really understand the severity of the situation she was in. Like she was still kidnapped, even if like Andrew was treating her correctly and like respectably, like she was still in like a position in which she was in potential danger, and I feel like she didn't act like that. That was frustrating to me sometimes. But like for the rest, I also really liked her character, and I really loved the dynamic between her and Andrew. Like I said before, I really like how their relationship like develops, and like they are in this like unconventional situation, I guess. I thought it was really well done. I really liked like the different conversations they had, and like they had conversations about like basically nothing, like not important stuff, but it like really helped like build their relationship and like the dynamic, and it really made it feel more like a well-rounded romance. I really appreciated that. I also really liked the setting of like a pirate romance. I liked like the ship setting and like the different things that come along with it, so I'm very interested in checking out more pirate romances. And then lastly, we have Frisco Scandal, which follows Georgiana, who is mostly called Georgie throughout the books. I'll also be calling her that for like the entirety of like this review because that's easier for me to pronounce. And she's like Billy's like younger sister, so she's a like sibling of Edmund as well, in case you want to know the connection to like the original Bridgerton series. But she gets kidnapped at the start of this novel, and it isn't even for like 24 hours, and like nothing scandalous happens, but like still her reputation is ruined because that's just what society is like at the time. And then Nicholas's father, so like the Rokesby dad, asked him to marry Georgie because like their families are so close, and Nicholas and Georgie are like such great friends, and like his father thinks like them being engaged and getting married is like the perfect way to like save her reputation. Yeah, I give this book 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I think this is definitely like the cutest book in a series, but like also by Julia Quinn that I've read. I haven't read all of her books. I read the Bridgerton series and now this one, but this book was just like so cute. Like the relationship between Nicholas and Georgie is like so cute. Like generally that's like the best way to describe it. There are like some steamy scenes in here, but like I feel like the overall vibes that I got from the relationship was just like cuteness and adorableness, and I loved it. I had a big smile on my face the entire time of this book, because like just the love these two have for each other even before they like fall in love for each other. Like they are such close friends, and like seeing like that friendship was just like really fun to like read about, and then like them just like slowly like falling for each other was also just like so just like fun to see, and I really like seeing it develop. Nicholas is also a virgin hero, which isn't something I've come across in an historical before, and I really like that dynamic there as well. So like even if it is like a sex scene, like a steamy scene, I feel like there was still like a lot of like cuteness around it, because like it was both their first times, and like them like kind of like stumbling around things and like trying to figure out how to like do this correctly and wanting to do this like greatly. I thought was like cute. I don't know how else to describe it. Nicholas also studies medicine in this book, and like he and Georgie like talk about it a lot because like she's also interested in it. So like the different conversations they have about that, and like when Nicholas kind of like comes across someone to help, and how like Georgie like helps out with that as well. I really loved all of those scenes. I thought it was so like, first of all, interesting to see like medicine in like this historical time period, which again I don't know a lot about, so I thought it was interesting to see. But then like also to have that be like kind of like a bonding thing was also really fun, and I just really loved how they just like talked about it like it was any other topic in the world. So yeah, for overall thoughts on this series is a little bit difficult, because I feel like every book feels so separated from each other, because like for example the Bridgerton series, which is by the same author, each book is like its own story. It still feels like connected because like all of these characters are kind of like in the same wheelhouse, I guess, but like these books feel so separate, because like Billy and George's story is like on the countryside, and then the Edward story is in New York, and Andrew's story is not like the seas, and then again like Georgie and Nicholas are back on the countryside, but like there's so much time between that and Billy's and George's story that it just feels very separated even in that point. And even though there's like connections, obviously I feel like each book felt so different and so unique from each other that it just feels very weird to make like a general statement over the series. But overall I can say that they're really quick and fun reads. Like even the girl to Makebelieve Husband, which I didn't really like that much, it was still like a very quick read for me, and I thought that the romances, I really loved how all of them had like very different dynamics, and I just also really love the Rokesby family. We don't get as many like family interactions as we did with the Bridgerton series, but like still there's like these tiny moments. And even like for example with Edward, when he is away from like his family throughout the entirety, he still like talks a lot about his family. I thought that was like just really like great to see, and I really loved seeing how strong their family bond is. And yeah, those were my thoughts on the Rokesby series by Julia Quinn. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you've read the series, let me know below what you thought of these books. You can go and spoil the details, just leave like a little spoiler warning at the top of your comment, so people who haven't read the series know not to read your comment. And yeah, that's it for today, and hopefully I'll see you next time.
Why does the God thing have to be so complicated? Should've played